Chrome rebooted. Right.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to BeoTalk 297.
3 more to go to 300, bro.
Yeah.
Insane.
Oh yeah. Shilling and stuff.
Do it.
Go like and subscribe to the video podcast thing if you haven't yet already. Go buy something. It's Skinny Play. Use the promo code for 10% off. Um. Come join the Discord if you want to. We're at what, 970-ish people.
Yeah, I was 972 at one point this week. If somebody left, what happened?
I don't know.
But it's a great resource, honestly. It's a great resource for information, I gotta say. I like it. I'm paying attention to it now every day, so.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. I mean, there's
Mm-hmm.
bound to be with a lot of people, really. So,
A
thank
lot
you
of
all
cool
for that.
experiments. A lot of cool experiments also.
Um, yeah, I'll leave it at that. That's about it. Come join the Discord. Blah, blah, blah.
Do it.
How's your week been?
It was pretty interesting, but same old. I had Friday special again. I had a service call for a theater
Mm-hmm.
where, to give you the breakdown, it's controlled via the panel because the drivers weren't available, but he was the first one to get the drivers. And what I mean by control is all the stuff is running into the panel itself, right, to the LG panel, and then you control it via the IP on the Savant, and then it just takes the ARC down. And now it was rewired because the drivers were supporting the HDMI selection on the Savant, so they've put everything properly into the back of the theater. And he updated the panel, had a software update, the LG, it went to like 30 something, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he lost center channel on his cable TV.
Weird.
It would be there, like, when you unplug a center channel, like, all the effects are still there, but like it's not there. People, I guess, that own BeoVision 9 would know if when their amp goes and shit, they have to reboot it. So it was just weird, man, and it wouldn't do it on everything. And then I would open the TV, which would change the speaker preset, right, as well with the stand move, and it came back on. And I had a phantom HDMI input in it that I couldn't. HDMI 3 that I reset. It was HDMI C3, but it still said Helix in the app. So like, what? Fuck it. He's got what? Pair of 18s and a 19 in there, right? So I just, factory reset the thing, retuned everything. The problem went away. So it's a weird hiccup on the theater side. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just it was weird with like even the speaker presets. You go to the speakers and like center, yes, it's center. Not that it's selected as none or whatever. But yeah, it was a weird troubleshoot. But yeah, at the end I got it going.
Well,
And,
I've had a weird similar issues lately. Where, like, if you start up the TV, like, the standard speaker group just refuses to come on.
I've noticed that as well with my button for the YouTube that I have, because I always press it. And last 3 days, I would press the my button on the Beo remote, and the TV goes poop poop. What is that? And then I go to the Halo, I press the my button off the Halo, and it turns on the YouTube.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something's going on, and you know how you set like your defaults in like source behavior and stuff.
Yes.
Like that was blank all of a sudden. Because if I use YouTube or something, that is usually music, so I don't put it on 7.1.4 or whatever, because it's kind of pointless for YouTube. And well, that doesn't work. But also then going to Netflix, which is mostly set to surround, also does nothing. It like you hear the 50s like click on, but the lenses don't come up and they don't play anything. So the center comes on, and some of the 17s play something.
Interesting.
And then you have to switch speaker groups or listening positions, and then it fixes itself.
It doesn't load it properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that, and even with mine, I'm like, is it something corrupt? Like, am I due to factory reset again in my theater at home? Which isn't, a big deal, but it's still, like the only thing I don't like is taking off the cover all the time to redo it. That's
Yeah,
my
which
only
is
beef
annoying.
with it all. It's I have the tools to do it, but I just really prefer not to be taking it off and flexing that wood because it's like it's attached on these little measly little labs or latches or whatever tabs. So not a big fan of that, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna reset and redo everything anyway because my living room is more or less done, like fully to the point where like I don't need to change windows and all that sort of crap anymore.
So you're good to go. Give me a second, man. I can't drink this, bro. The capsule exploded, man. It is fucking terrible, man. I have to redo my coffee. It sucks. Oh yeah, dude, that's totally a freaking greased coffee right there. Okay, let's give this another shot.
Nice and grindy.
Oh, dude, that was like at least a third of a capsule went in. So let's see what happens with this.
It's like an espresso twerk.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't good.
Did you
I'm
rinse
not
it
gonna
before you
power
put
through
in a new pod? Because probably there's a bunch of grinds in the capsule holder area.
Well, that would have been a good to know before, wouldn't it? I think it'll be fine. It'll be way less than what it was before. I guarantee you that, unless the machine is done for and it's just popping capsules. So, anyways.
Yeah, it's a thing. Yeah. I mean, being weird, it's nothing new, but
yeah, it's just out of the blue deal.
I don't understand what happened really.
And for me, like I'm in the environment where I don't have, I'm not utilizing any HDMI sources in the TV.
Same.
Every now and then, I plug in my computer to watch a movie, or just fucking video game, but that's it. It's happened twice.
I mean, I have a Fire Stick, but I rarely use it. I mean, it's for when I watch a film, but I don't watch a film every day, so.
Mm-hmm. No, I live, I guess, a little differently than most of our clients that have their. I just see it as a waste of money to have a regular television.
Yeah.
Especially in Canada, bro.
Jacob asks, hey, can you remotely operate the CD player from the STB on Beosound Moment, or do you have to press buttons, for example, to change tracks?
That's a good question. As far as I know, it's only RCA out into the back of the Moment.
Yeah.
I think you would just press the buttons on the front of the CD panel, I guess.
I guess unless you have an MLNL converter, you can maybe do something, but I'm not
No,
sure.
because you have no control. You have no control back down towards to the CD player, because it's just RCA's out into the back of the input of the Moment. That's it. Because that, like, on a stand, you put it on a stand, you put the CD player, and then you put the Moment on it, and it's got the same profile. But the buttons, I think, are on the panel. I don't remember ever
Unless you mean
anybody
the
having
CD
control.
player that was made for the Moment, then potentially.
It might have an B&O IR receiver, you think?
Maybe, but they're so rare that I don't know. Also,
I've never really seen one other than like read about it online, but that's about it.
Yeah, was that made by STB brackets or was that a B&O CD player?
No, it was STBs. Yeah, I'm trying to find, but it's already off the website. It's too far gone in yesteryears, man.
I mean, it was a cool concept.
Well, it was like, what do you do with people that still have CDs, right? Now, we face the new era of Beosound 9000, Beosystem 9000C, where hopefully you have at least 6 CDs left in your house if you buy it
I
to
think I
fill
have
it up.
8 or 9.
I actually have about, I think, 600 discs in my storage that I'm keeping to balance the locker more. And also, once I take it out, I'll have the 9000 going, which brings me to the freaking topic again. I tried. It's like the item is expired, right? You can't order that USB-C to ML converter that was with the 9000C.
The BioConnect Encore?
Yeah, that should definitely become available in my opinion. If not now, then just later. But it should definitely be something that is worth the keep.
Write to your dealers and tell them you want to buy one, even if you don't.
Because at the end of the day, somebody will buy it.
Yes.
It's a great idea. It's an absolutely great idea. I'm surprised that they haven't done that earlier, but they come up with only 200 pieces for a very unique, you know, repeat of a design. It's more or less like things
Well,
were borrowed for the design as well.
I would also say since there's app integration, it's almost weird that they would only keep it to 200 pieces because that's a very unique thing that you have to then have somebody maintain software on.
And invest on into it, yes.
Because like this thing being 50 grand or 55 grand USD, if your app changes again and all of a sudden you can't change your CDs and stuff anymore, like
Wouldn't
that's
you be
not
pissed?
very high net worth individual behavior.
Hmm.
As in from the company's point of view, right?
Yeah, and I think 200 is just too cheap for them to care for, right? Like, look at the way they abandoned the moment over time. So,
Yeah.
how much support for that would be, unless there is, a few thousands of them sold, which I'm sure there would be.
Do we know whether the BioConnect Encore works with other Mozart speaker slash products, i.e., other than 28s? They said it must be connected to a Mozart speaker. I don't think they specified 28, so I'm guessing a balance will work. I mean, there's
Anything theater should work technically.
yeah,
Theater should technically work because you have a line in and a USB, and if you do USB, then the ML, the BioConnect Encore is pulling the power from that USB-C.
yeah. Also, 8s should work. Like, there's no operational difference really between
No,
28s and 8s.
no.
I mean, you may not want the 28s, you may want 8s. I'm pretty sure if you're in the market for this sort of thing, right? If you say like, I'll still pay you 50 grand, but can I have it with 8s in Cosmic Black? They'll say, okay.
But it's still I don't think so, man. The how rigorous they made the application process internally, I was very surprised. I've never seen anything like it. There's a big questionnaire you have to fill out. They basically made it as exclusive as like getting a Ferrari or a Patek Philippe watch or whatever.
Hmm.
It's no bullshit that anybody that has a hole in their ass can come and get it. Like, you really need to be a collector, and this is a statement piece for the collectors more or less than
I also think this is
for
one of the
those.
few products where B&O approves you.
That's exactly what it is. It's not the other way that you approve of the cost. It's the fact that they approve of you buying it.
Yeah.
So, that's the difference within the 9000C. There is it's a funny, not funny to, but it's funny to me that that's the first time that they actually had gone out that. But that also, I guess, shows how much respect they got for David Lewis.
Yeah.
That not anybody just can come up and buy this. So, or David Lewis's design rather. But yeah, that dude was the icon of B&O, and to this day, everything that he's designed still stands its test of time.
Yeah, like these 8000s are fucking old by now.
Yeah,
They're 30 plus years old.
Yeah, 9000 came out in what, 1994, I believe.
I think so, yeah. But
So it's 30 years.
the
I
8000s
think
came
that's why
out
it
in
came out.
what, 89, 90, something like that?
8000s, I think they were out in 1992. That's what I'm thinking. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody in chat. Because in
Anyway, it's
1994 is when the AV9000 system came out, which was the first built-in surround TV, right? With that little triangle, stupid speaker that later became BeoLab 10, and a lot of people
back in those
refer
days we
to
had
it
an
as.
Avant 28 and it seemed huge, as in screen size. 28 inches.
Now I'm freaking 6 feet away from a 65-inch TV, and I'm thinking like, time to maybe upgrade the panel, but not
77,
now.
83.
I thought about the 77, but that's just going to be it's too immense for this little
Do
room.
you hate curtains? 97.
But no, like if I were to get something stupid big, like an 83 per se, I don't know if the stand, like I would need to probably order the separate part for the stand, right? Because I don't know, I don't know how much the stand is rated for.
My dealer
Yes, it
stood
can
on
hold my
it.
ass. I stood on it.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm lighter than the 85-inch TV
Yes, you
or
are.
83-inch. Yeah, maybe.
83 is like 40 kilos.
Okay, so much heavier than that,
Yeah,
obviously.
sorry. Yeah, the 83, it'll hold the 83 easily.
But then I don't have the
I think
wings,
the
which is gonna
SMI
look like
is more the
freaking.
issue of like where a potential fail point is. The stand itself is fine.
Yeah, the SMI would have had to been like another plate put on it so it can expand to the vest amount of that thing.
Yeah.
That's A. B. The wings would look like fucking oars, man, on a paddles or something. Like that's too much.
It's only if you get the
83-inch
matching
wings.
size wings. I would just get a bigger panel and keep the 65-inch wings. That's what I did
No,
in the
well,
end.
for now till I go, I'll keep this as is because I already stuffed it full of everything, so it doesn't vibrate yet. It still does a little bit, especially in the Dolby Atmos movies. It really throws the back panel of the LG for a ride.
Oh, so they do sell the 83 now with bespoke wings, according to Lawrence.
Okay.
Serge says his dealer had wings for a 97-inch, mate. Bloody hell. That's like a meter of wing aside, almost.
That's a lot of aluminium, bro.
I
But
guess
that'd
it's
be
so
cool.
heavy it doesn't flex anymore at that point.
I think still it would do that when the bass is playing hard from the theater.
Yeah, but it'll change frequencies, right? With length of that sort of thing. Like different
Hmm.
frequencies will be the one that vibrate it.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't think a 97 would look right on a stand.
It looked too puny on the stand. The stand would look too puny.
Yeah, which is in and of itself kind of interesting because it is sort of like minimalist in that sense, that because something so enormous sits on something so small.
If I were to do it, I would probably put it so it sits in the dead center of the stand, and then it can rotate. You know what I mean? So it's very close to the ground, and or could be then table mounted, right? Because then if you put a regular furniture piece, this is about what, 18 inches tall usually. So you add another, what, let's say 9 inches, right? Let's give the stand 2 inches play, and then the screen starts, which is still not that too high. And for North American standard, as you found out, it's definitely low because you
Yeah,
you hang the
imagine looking
TV
at your
so.
TV like this, right? And not like.
Yeah, it's a weird concept here that they have that people do, but some would understand it, some would know. Depends, you know. But a lot of the stuff that we do now, we don't do it nonsensically high unless it's a fireplace install, which then that dictates no matter what you do, no matter where you are in the world. If they want it above the fireplace, bro, unless it's one of those low profile deals, which rarely ever happens. That's it. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but I'm excited about that, the 9000C. I appreciate the effort that they did and put into it. I wonder what that cosmic black color actually is. You think it's just a one of those Vanta blacks type of thing that it just absorbs all the light?
No, I think it's semi-glossy.
Mm.
I mean, it looks somewhat glossy in the pictures too.
Yeah, it does.
No, I think Vanta Black is and really black and really matte. Like it
Hmm.
absorbs everything. It's not shiny.
Yeah, I like that. I honestly still to this day I love the movement of the 9000 when it skips along for the CDs. It's just there's nothing more satisfying to watch, especially when you put it on the random.
Yeah, it's I like it a lot personally, but
Hmm.
for 50 grand, I'm not sure I like it that much personally. I mean, this or another set of 50s, even though both are kind of crazy to purchase, I would probably go for like another set of 50s.
Yeah,
Like in a 50s, 50s, 50s.
Jesus. And two pairs of 17s on top.
Three.
Three. Oh, you can still. Oh yeah, because you can do them Wisa.
Yeah.
Because those, who cares?
Or I can even do the 50s ones.
No, I would still keep those wired, man. Those speakers deserve a wired connection. Three pairs
uh,
would be a little bit sick for sure.
think it was Anders on the Discord server that posted pics of the 9000C in like a
I think
showroom.
so. Yeah. That was so. It looked like too futuristic for me in the showroom. The that steel background that they had in the back of it. I wonder how that makes the speakers sound because they would already have a challenge in there as they are. Hervegama, may not reach your question discussed in the previous show. I still wonder what the BC Encore is in comparison to BeoConnect Core. They're two different products, man. BeoConnect Core is the replacement for Beosound Core that is now EOL. And BeoConnect Encore is a little black box the size of I guess in a reference would be a cigarette pack that fits on the back of this 9000 that is on the screen right now. And it takes an ML2 RJ45, and on the other side, it goes out USB C. And that goes into the back of those 28s. And that's how you can control the 9000 or presumably any Masterlink product yeah, having the app allowing it, basically.
They
Because
said this iteration or whatever it is now is
Mhm.
specifically made for the 9000.
But if they actually did realize how successful this could be, in my opinion, they should definitely consider putting it in the regular stock and make a few. Make one for 3200, one for the 9000, which you already have, and maybe one for BeoCenter too, because those are the three main CD players only that you really have to worry about. Maybe the Beosound 4, but the Beosound 4 was nowhere near as popular as all the way the renditions of the Beosystem 2400 all the way to Beosound 3200 with the sliding doors. Everybody has that.
One of the things that like made me self giggle in these pictures, right? I always
Mm.
joked in the last few years that you with your 90s would have the best, most incredible bitch please sound because of this record here. I'm pretty sure that's Dre 2001.
I
One of
know,
the
it's so
songs is
funny.
called Bitch Please.
Yeah, you notice there's a big pot leaf in the CD player. Okay, there it is. And it's old. I guess that's all they had in the frickin' somebody's back of the truck. Nirvana. Uh, I can't. Fuji's
uh,
definitely.
Oasis.
I don't know what the top one is. The cover by the Clamper.
Red Hot Chili Peppers. Was
Okay.
it Super Sex Magic or something that album is called, I think?
Hmm.
What that one in the middle is, I really don't have a clue.
No, I don't either. But the pod is what? Chronic 2000? No, it's not it. Or 2001?
I think so. 2001.
Yeah. That's actually a great CD, by the way. It's where a lot
Uh,
of those memes came from, I guess, was the music soundtrack for him.
it says, will B&O consider selling the 9000C without the BeoLab 28s? Pretty much no. In the sense, yes, if it's with another Mozart speaker like BeoLab 8s, if you want to go like a custom way. But in terms of like, will we sell it to you with 50s or 90s? Probably not. Or by itself, also no. Unless,
Mhm.
look, the best way to go then is just buy the whole kit and sell the 28s.
Yeah,
But if that's
but
your desire, then they probably won't approve of you buying it in the first place.
exactly.
Also, what would you pay for it?
You would be at a massive loss no matter how much you would sell those 28s for. Like,
I'm
this is
gonna.
a one set collection. And I think you would also lose the price of the 28s resale value as you know, if they're separate items. I think that I wouldn't advise to do that. I would keep it as it's been designed together, man. That's it.
I'm gonna pull this.
Man, it's raining hard today.
Yeah, we had one of those yesterday as well, where it's like all of a sudden you hear like.
And it just comes down. But yeah, I think that room in the showroom is very cold looking. Like, I understand the B&O's fabric walls. Those are cool. I like the silver. Honestly, I like the setup, but I think it acoustically it would be just too much.
I think so too.
And it's kind of tall. I don't know if it's open to above, but then again, he's standing in front of the speakers that are turned off, so it wouldn't matter. It's weird how they attach those grills, man. They actually do have a special clip that comes in that you have to put in, and it kind of hides and it kind of you can see it. I'm not a big fan of it, but
I mean, I somehow have a feeling you could potentially convince B&O to sell it by itself, but you have to make it worth their while,
mhm.
like to a ridiculous margin, right?
Oh yeah,
Because I mean, it's 50 grand euro, 55 USD. I mean, the 28s normally are what, 20 grand ish?
yeah, around there. I think the most bespoke you can go with the 28, other than this cosmic black craziness, is bronze. I think.
Yeah, which I think is like 18,000 euro or something. So it's 20 grand. So if you want to buy it by itself, they probably say no unless you say, like, I'll give you 35 grand for it or something like that.
Yeah. Well, because then dealers kind of stuck with the speakers, right? But you know what's surprising, that they have the original 9,000 boxes for them, the styrofoams and everything.
Really? How did you get those? Did
I
you
have
just
no
still
idea.
have some, or?
I've seen it in the training video where it was actually Christian who was assembling it together. He pulls it out of the like a legit 9,000 box, man. So
Huh.
you will get yourself a 9,000 box with it, and then the 28's compact in that milk crate nonsense paper around them, which now apparently is becoming an issue with the BioLab 8s because the aluminum that's on the bottom, like, that trims it, it's on those rubber retainers, just like on the 50s, like everything is with those rubber grommets, you just, it's
Mm-hmm.
push in. So if they toss them somewhere in the middle of the shipping and the speaker's laying, the chassis of the speaker is heavy enough to go clink, and it'll just basically snap it off with the grommet in the rubber, right? And it just shears off the actual aluminum, so then it becomes tough to repair. So they are working on the solution, which to me is like, let's go back to the, stop hugging the trees and like put this. It's an expensive product. Put it in a styrofoam, and that's it.
Shouldn't it be sold out already? That would be proof the very high net worth strategy is correct. Maybe.
I don't think it's all about the strategy altogether, but
I think their target also is not 100% in under 2 weeks, right? Because they only started like 3 weeks ago with showing this to people.
mm-hmm. From what I heard, the rumors are it's about 75% out of the door, to 70 to 75%.
Yeah. So I think their target was probably within the first quarter of it being out, sell half of it at least, because then you're probably in the money.
But that's also one of the most demanded and desired products in a freaking aftermarket world of sales.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to have a 9000 or at least own it at some point in their lifetime as a proper B&O collector. And I think that B&O was very smart for pulling on the heartstrings of people that are, have been longtime collectors of the B&O, and now they're in a position in life where they can, fuck it, sweetheart, I'm buying this, and the wife don't tell you nothing, and you just get yourself a nice system for your cigar room or wherever the product ends up. But I guess if you're from that era, your wife wouldn't really oppose to it either, because she's grown up around CDs. So I don't know. I think it's a very nice nostalgia heartstrings pull, and it's definitely proving that it's worth it.
I mean, if you don't want to go the black route with B&O, there's this white edition one for sale. It's on auction currently. Expert estimate between $5,500 to $7,000. I'm not sure they're wrong anymore.
No. Especially for a numbered one, man. Everybody has a silver run-of-the-mill one, right? Like myself. But having, out of 1,500, which is, a B&O made, it's not... Because you can take the plate off and custom paint it yourself. But
it's not
the fact is that it's not the same. Exactly. The label don't say that.
Can the DAC on the Beosound 9000 be replaced?
No.
With the same thing, I guess, if you're really good at soldering.
Yeah, but I wouldn't dig on it. And what would you replace it with? Like, you have to understand one thing, that B&O had designed this thing, of course. They have all the drawings, all the board layouts, everything in it. So they could have done it. But instead of, starting a fire, they had instead chosen to use the Masterlink output from the 9000 directly and using the DAC, which is, I guess, substantially good still for what the era at the time was, for the CDs, how they sound. So there is, if the B&O deemed not worthy or worth the time to go in and try to swap the DAC, there's got to be a bloody reason for it. So I would honestly didn't even entertain that idea, because you're going to fuck up a nice board. And there's not many of those going around.
Yeah, go the coaxial out if you want to, and then you can go into a different DAC or something.
Get yourself an AVM or some whatever, or a Burmester, and have a good time. And just let the zeros and ones be read by a coolest CD player that's ever been built on the planet. If you don't want to hear what it was designed to sound like.
When I had mine, I used its DAC, and it sounded fine to me. It also really depends on what you do. Like, do you just... Is it just playing music or background music or dinner party music or whatever? Or are you like intently listening to your CD, right? Mm-hmm. I think a lot of the music habits stand or fall by that. Like, if you're into the best DAC, that sort of thing, like, do you even play music to listen to just have some sound on, or is it like, are you just analyzing all the time?
Hmm. No, the 9000 is the coolest thing ever, man. Especially if you have it set in another room and you put the CDs on random. The buffer that it has inside, like it's basically like switching between the tracks, and the disc travels, or the Mac travels from disc one to disc six, and starts playing it. It's cool, man. It was the pinnacle of the CD players back in the yesteryears, and yes, I knew that it was gonna be with the cost if they ever come back with it. It already cost you a pretty penny just to get it fixed. So
Also, the glass on the white edition is clear.
yeah, which is kind of interesting.
I kind of like that look more, personally.
Hmm.
I wasn't a huge fan of the purple. Not that it's really bothersome either, but like on the regular one.
What are you talking about, the UI covers?
Yeah.
Yeah, the OG ones. I swapped mine for the newer, the dark gray. But I think that was the limits of anodizing, how far they could go black, I guess, because they couldn't really do black till much later in the anodizing history. And we'll see whenever they break through to make it a white anodizing, because that's going to be the game changer. Because this is right now, it's not anodized white; it's just spray bombed or spray painted, or not spray painted. It's powder coated. Sorry, that would be the best way to say. 317 out of 1500 Tabarnak. That's cool. So
Max asked, maybe you already answered this, but what products would you like to see get seed, or i.e. remade, Willie?
well, they're kind of hitting their limits now, really. Because what else do you redo now after this? Do you move to BeoCenter 2 as a a Blu-ray player, which that media is dead? Um, I don't know what else they could come back with.
Bottle opener C.
Bottle opener C. Fuck. That would be a good one. Yeah, they could make a moment that works, but I don't know. I think that they should have some sort of an audio master still to this day. I strongly believe in that. Uh, that has it just runs on its app. That's it. As a BNO app on it, and then these are connected to it. Your BNO radio is connected to it, so you have all the control. I think that would be what they should make a C of, but I think they should make something that works. But I agree with Anders that the BO time would be, or an alarm clock that is fashionable with BNO nowadays, that has some sort of a remote control capability, which quite honestly, I guess nowadays you could really do it with the Halo and BO Living, to put the time on it, and then just have it trigger. But then, yeah, it's not something that is portable that you can take with you, like BO time. It's not the most convenient thing to carry around in a suitcase, because it's fucking long. But yeah, it comes with me everywhere I go if I go traveling.
If I want to see something potentially remade with newer tech, it's maybe the Beolab 5s.
I think that may come with the reason why I didn't say that, even I think that they're gonna come back with them for the 100th anniversary.
Yeah, but that's something I would like to see, and they're probably going to be ridiculous money even compared to 50s, right? And
Oh
they
yeah,
probably still are going to be limited in the sense that they won't sound as good. But to refresh just the connection panel and the DACs and stuff would be massive, because
yeah.
it's a wonderful speaker that is a bit weird to connect to anything else compared to any of the other speakers they've ever made.
It's their own princess, basically.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't necessarily say Mozart. I would just say, like, Oh, I think there's also like a weird limitation in like 24 bits is up to like 88.1 kilohertz or something,
Yes.
which is a non-standard thing now. So it's all a bit strange. I mean, even if the room compensation goes a bit higher, would be nice.
Hmm.
I don't know if people still sell 15-inch drivers, but I would update that one for something that's a bit tighter, as in not so sloppy.
Hmm.
Because like it was a good driver of the day, but you can probably just due to better materials now have better, cleaner bass output from that.
Also, 15 inches a heavy driver, man. Like that's a lot of.
Sure, but the material science, you can probably like shed a third of the weight now of what you can make now 15 inches versus back then, right?
But you can't afford to do that because already the metal plate on the bottom is there, so the speaker doesn't bounce. There's enough power in that woofer that it makes the fucker jump.
No, I understand, but like you could make that foot heavier pretty easily. That's like it's not a
I guess, yeah.
like just double the size, make it out of lead, whatever.
Yeah, but then you're going against that whole thing that they're just gonna basically do a facelift into something and resell it for copious amounts of money to the collectors versus almost designing something brand new that just carries that same shape. I think there's a lot more R&D going into the B than the A. And if it's it's not that it's supposed to be a cash grab, but like logically, it just makes sense to. I would just revitalize the chassis. Yes, connector ports would then go to standard RJ45. Maybe do the same interface as all the BeoLab 19, 17, and 18 has, having an optical input, RCAs, and the bloody power link and a daisy chain power link. I think that would be more than enough to have in the BeoLab 5 and or 5C, I guess we can call it. And I would probably, if not update the drivers, I would definitely like did the electronics inside definitely. And I think then we're laughing. Then it's a great speaker because it's still, even though it's pulling on its 21 years this year,
Yeah.
it's
I,
still
I
a
would.
great sounding
Max
speaker.
says ScanSpeak still makes a 15-inch woofer.
There we
I
go.
was literally on the ScanSpeak site thinking like they probably make one of those.
Yeah, they do. So, that could definitely push some serious boss. So, yeah, I think that the Lab 5 is definitely in the future. And maybe it's only a year away, year and a half away, I guess, because November 17th is it's already May. And it's around the corner. 6 more months. And 8000C, I don't think that they would compete back into the BioLab 18 territory with the speakers. There is no way in hell that they would do that, even though that if you did something like an 8000C, with let's say a couple drivers facing in 45 degrees to give you more of that, spaciousness or whatever. I don't want to sound like it's the Bose cubes, but they would also have enough real estate on the top to put the panel interface on, right, or touch interface.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that. I think that the 18s will gracefully die in people's homes, and that's the end of those speakers, as far as in my opinion. I don't think the 18s are going EOL yet. I never heard or haven't heard anything from or about that.
They sell too well.
And it's a great option compared to the 28s for people that are starting, because I'd buy the 18s, live with it for a while, recover financially a bit, throw in a subwoofer with it, and you're laughing again because it's a great system. And especially when you put it to a BBO Connect core nowadays, it's absolutely on their own are enough. Like it's where were those speakers these 10 years, man? That now they sound absolutely insane. So But I think Halo, Sunday. I agree with you that Halo was a low ambition product, but uh, I think that it almost goes without saying for B&O that they missed the potential of it, because that remote could have been so much better than what it is now. Have it better UI and better processing power on it. They could have ran a miniature version of the app just in black and white, something just as dead stupid simple as it was in a BO6, where you could just browse your playlists or album, whatever. And that just never happened. And now the only savior for that remote that logically makes any sense is in a Beo Living Intelligence environment. And as a very, very expensive metadata display. That's the service. That's the purpose that it serves for me.
I personally like the 18s and the 19 over a set of 28s.
I 100% agree with you.
But that's also partially the sound I'm used to after like 2+
years and
decades.
years of years.
Yeah. And it's mostly because the 28s have just a different sound profile, which is neither here nor there. It's a preference thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know. For me, it's the same. It's just like with the theater. Like I never, it always requires a lot of playing around with the theater to make it sound right in the particular space. Where I found, like back in the day, the BeoVision 7s or 10s or 11s, right? You just set them up and they kind of like, that's what it sounds like. It's generally tuned for all the rooms, right? Where it sounds okay versus, if you had it to do the room comp and all that other stuff. But then that room comp just introduces so many different variables. Depends on how many speakers you have and how powerful they are. Because I understand that that's what B&O does with their readouts and stuff is cool, but you still kind of got to go in there and just maybe change the bass redirection levels, or you change the dBs. You obviously don't change the distance because the microphone is super accurate for that. I really appreciate that in it. But when it comes to everything else, and then you also have to go to the sound modes, and depends what sound mode you are. You go down to the advanced, and then you play with those because the stage width at 3 is completely different sounding than 7, right? And everything's set to 5. The envelopment, and you have more speakers that you have in the rear because the envelopment then changes and how you perceive the music that is more and more around you. So there's so much diddling and fiddle fucking with it nowadays that I'm not saying that it's impossible, but I can really understand why some of the installers just wouldn't bother with it. They just kind of set it up as it is. This is what B&O suggests, and we're good with it. They don't, and then some people just don't have that impression that
I think
it
a lot of
sounds as good as
installers
it
just
could.
connect it, make sure it turns on, and call it a day at that.
Yeah, I don't know. I go into a real depth with it too. So, and I kind of go after things were installed as well, and correct what was done, if anything. And it's not to put anybody down. It's just the way that I live with the system, so I know what my expectation acoustically is from it, right? When I'm listening to it, and I know what it sounds like in my room because I spent time and a lot of time in Bourbon on it, and to make sure that everything sounds balanced. So once you know that baseline and you know where to go in the app, it's much faster and easier for you to sound match it to the proper acoustic balance that you want out of it.
Well, I have seen some shocking installs in terms of in terms of software or speaker group setup, right?
Oh, I've seen some, man.
Like even with the harmony or with the theater, where like you have center, left, right, and then you have 50s or 28s or something, and they're like surround, but they're in front, right? Or in the wide mode when it was harmony days.
Yeah. Oh God.
Which is like, because that way you use all the TV, because like left, right, it's right there, and then center. So it's like, oh my God. Like
your logic surpasses mine. I usually, what I do, I still take it to the as Jeff Martin said, you set the dB levels differently on the Avant and Harmony per se if you have extra speakers to the sides. So I changed those dB levels and the distances. I think it's 20 centimeters from what I remember correctly. I haven't done it in a long time now. That you set the center and then both left and right as center, but a little bit ahead of time by 10 centimeters. So you create a 30 centimeter gap in how the sound arrives to your ear, and that gives you more or less that acoustic lens perception of it. That everything, even when the stand turns, it's still within the same acoustic parameters, I guess. Because with theater, you turn it a bit, you're like, "Fuck, I lost it." Especially when you have virtual channels turned on, because that how much processing and stuff goes into it to make it sound exactly perfect where you are changes quickly when you turn it a bit. So yes, it's definitely something that takes a lot to fiddle with in order to make it sound great. And even on the Discord that I'm reading, like, people spend a lot of time with, even the BeoLab 19. What do you set it to? What crossover you set it to? What phase? Is it correct? I wouldn't screw with the phase, because once you have it measured, then the phase is set by the theater, and then you can just always check your redirection levels. People always check your redirection levels, because when you introduce the subwoofer, the theater tends to really shave the performance muscle away from all the other speakers, because it tries to relieve that. And it also goes tunes according to the weakest speaker in the system, which sometimes turns out to be the one of the high channels. I don't know if that bug was fixed or not, but there's a lot to play with. There's a lot to play with in the theater to make it sound right, and there's no prescribed do the front channel by 2 dBs, do the second the right front channel by also 2 dBs, and blah blah blah. It all depends on how it sits and stands in your room. But my advice is, before you start playing with the dB levels on the speakers, just go in and check all the redirections. I honestly just put them all to 0. Screw it. Because then the theater knows that it's pushing all the bass to it, and the speaker knows how much bass it can handle, and ABL it kicks in anyways. And at the levels that I listen to it nowadays, 50, 55, 60 at the most, the ABL never stands a chance even to be hammering onto my sound performance while I'm watching a movie. So there's a lot more bass perceivably from the Dolby Atmos and the surround sound movies, because my 18s are pushing everything that they are, they're at 0, so they are exactly a full hand speaker. And same thing, and then I take off a little bit from the center channel, because for some reason center channel also really wants to push the bass, and I don't like that. And redirect a little bit. Now that I have the 11, I redirect a little bit into the back, to the Lab 11, to the egg, and that really also mitigates with my panel vibrating.
Oh,
So there's
sure.
also those few things that you need to be conscious of, like, okay, what are the speakers you can push the bass off so your screen don't rattle as much? Because the theater is very capable, but it also really ruins the movie when you have the right and shit going on, and all of a sudden you just hear your boards and transistors falling out of the board. Fuck, it ruins the movie experience. At least for
Yeah.
me, like, my girlfriend's not conscious of it at all, but I just fucking, like a dog that hears that ultrasonic whistle. Like, I need to deal with that. What is this? Where is it coming from?
Yeah, I can't stand it either.
So,
In terms of a C product, maybe it's not for me, but a BeoLab Penta could, like, full digital Class D amps.
I don't know if that's a crazy idea or not.
I don't
There's a
know
lot of
either, but
room
I know
inside
the
the
people that
speaker.
love Pentas, like, to an insane amount.
I put my vote on the Pentas for sure.
I put it this way, right? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Steve bought those new.
No, I would not. And I would hope that they have the functional displays on them, like actual metadata or something, maybe touchscreen that you can actually integrate with it.
The Halo screen.
Yeah. So I don't know if I quite honestly, if they were to do a classic release, I would rather see the Pentas than the BeoLab ones because of the display capability. Like, there's nowhere in
I mean, the
design to
ones are
put it.
pretty perfect as they are.
They are. But it's a very solid ass speaker though.
I mean, what would you change? Because they still look modern ones. Like, there's not much to change, really.
No, there isn't. No, there's nothing to change on them.
But you can definitely spruce up Pentas quite easily. And also, like, make them way more functional by just making everything Class D amps.
Oh,
Like,
Pentas would throw down, man, if you think about it.
yeah, also, like, get rid of all the foam everywhere. Just put some modern drivers in everything. Just like for like, but modern.
Yeah,
Like, with rubber
yeah.
instead of foam.
No, I think Pentas would kill as a classic revision.
I mean, also, you can even do the sort of naked look with the, like, mid-ranges and tweeters. Like, that looks amazing to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I really like about the Pentas is, like, the driver arrangement, because it's so unique.
And cool as hell.
I mean, other than that, Pentas aren't really for me. I don't hate them, but it's sort of like that champagne gloss color thing they did on the stainless instead of aluminium. It's not for me. I just That's why I always preferred ones.
Yeah, for me the Pentas look all. It's worn its welcome. Definitely, I remember having them years ago and just was, oh wow, these are awesome. But the awesome goes away quick, especially when you start dabbling into more newer B&O gear and you by mistake end up with the Lab 9s and there's no competition to Pentas, right? So
I don't even think the Pentas are ugly necessarily. It's
mm,
it's like it's compared to the 3 decades that came after it. The color was uniformly different, right? Like, they don't really match with anything prior or post their age.
no, they don't even match with their own systems they were ever released with because it was either black, silver, or white, and the speakers were gold, or not gold, but like brass or
Like
copperish stone.
champagne
Yeah,
stainless.
some weird.
Which was like a feat at the time, and like, kudos to them for doing it. But I can see them doing Pentas. Like, one of the problems now, still with Pentas, is running, like, what do you actually have? Do you have Mark 1, 2, or 3?
Yeah,
And the info is a bit strange on that. Like, because essentially the 3 is like the 2, but with the amp block underneath, right? Like, nowadays, there's no reason for that to be that big.
no, no. I think that if they were to do it, I think they should just build it all in.
I mean, essentially, I would say a Penta C or whatever. I would just
Not
say,
mobile phone.
I would just,
Plastic.
if I was B&O, I would, let's say I would decide to do something like that, I would also say, like, fuck it, forget the sound signature. Like, we're gonna go balls to the wall in this chassis.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really reimagine it. Like, use the sound profiles or sound signatures we like now. And go according to that, not like recreate the old sound, because it was a bit muddy, it was a bit warm.
It's nowhere near as sterile as the Lab ones were back then, and it's
Yeah.
nowhere near as it's beyond comparable to the, let's say, even the 28s, which they kind of get sloppy with the bass every now and then. But yeah, definitely, if they made that, I don't know, even keep the bass, put all the brain in it, so you have enough of a connection panel so that you don't have to, use needle nose pliers to hook up a USB-C connector into it and so on. The worst one is the Emerge, bro. Come on, guys. Like, couldn't you have? I guess you couldn't have put it in the center, but you could have put it a little more so it's not just as awful to put in. Especially when you have the nice cable from B&O. That one is stiffer than the penalties that you have to pay for with your fingers. I don't like it, but it works.
I mean,
But
so Mark is a Penta lover. We found one. It never takes long to find a Penta
no,
lover.
somebody always.
But like, Mark, like if they were to make like a Penta C, would you like, even if it was silly money, would you consider it? Because I have a feeling like at least 80% of like current Penta owners would potentially do that. Because
Yeah,
I
but most of these Penta owners are, you know, quite of age.
sure, but you need people with money, right? Like you're not.
I guess you ain't gonna line the casket with the dollar bills. Put some Penta Cs in your house, bro. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else would be a more classic. There's definitely gonna happen something with the fives. I'm certain of it. I just don't know what would they choose as a music system. Would they do a Beosound 5C, which would be absolutely awesome if that was a touchscreen music streamer that has Tidal and Pandora, whatever else have you on it for music, to have all the unlocks of all the of all the streaming services that you can just multi-room everywhere. I think that would be great if they did something like that without the need of the bloody Beomaster 5. Just have that screen mounted on the wall with an RJ45 connector, maybe a PoE capability. That would be awesome because then you just run one Cat 7 cable because I wouldn't run anything else. Pop it in the back and boom.
So it says, as opposed to the C products, they could just come up with a new product. Hate to be old fashioned. Well, they definitely could do that, but I think they're slightly out of ideas at the moment.
I still think they should consider making a freaking audio master, bro. I still think they should make something that can connect either Wi-Fi or if they're gonna ever move on to the Wi-Fi or whatever the speaker link profile, whatever you want to would call it, the wireless speaker link, that you can buy this audio master that is Mozart platform with the display so you can interact with all of your stuff. Maybe has interface of on underscoring it that has the my buttons and you're scrolling for volume and all that jazz that is always accessible,
You
and then you
essentially
can
want the
just
remote for the core.
exactly, but also with the capabilities to be able to connect, let's say, up to 8 speakers like the Moment was. You know what I mean? So if you want to have quadraphonic BeoLab 8 setup, then you can just do that. And probably with the true image, you could do a lot more with it as far as, having fun with the thing.
In terms of
And
speakers, I don't actually think they have everything covered because I think I can think of two easy products to make, right? Because dealers sometimes do it as custom jobs.
mhm.
Uh, gut the theater as a Biosystem 5 and make a fairly simple center channel. For all your
Yeah,
very high net worth individual people with their cinema rooms, right? That makes way too much sense if that is your audience to me.
they need to make this something that it could be stacked on the rack.
Yeah, like a Biosystem 4.
Yes, exactly. Doesn't need to be as sexy because at the end of the day, nobody looks at it. But then when the people do, it's like, ooh,
Yeah.
that was the fucking metal thing was great, the aluminum. But yeah, I definitely agree that they should do something like that. But I understand the fact that this is the center channel on its own, which is pretty capable. But then everything just becomes too far for everything to be connected, and then you're introducing more uh, of paths of failure or prone to fail because everything would have to be run on HDMI extender. Because now there's good luck really, and not even good luck really. The theater no longer supports Atlona HDMI matrix, so you would only be basically down to 3 HDMI inputs on the theater that you would have to run from the rack to the center channel underneath a big drop down screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what if people don't want to see the bloody theater that they have in-wall speakers everywhere? What do you do then? Do you put the theater in the rack room and fucking run power links out of it? It's ridiculous.
I would say make it, if you are gonna make it be a System 5 type thing, make it just gut the theater, add more power links, make it a silly price, make it like $5,000 or something.
Even more, like looking at what the AVM streamers that we have in the shop and like all this other shit, and like, fudge, man. Like, yeah, you can ask for more money for it, but it needs to do a lot more stuff than it does now. First of all, it should
Or
obviously
make it
revisit the DTS decoding. Second
Yeah.
of all,
Make it similar price to the theater, maybe like 1,500 less, something like that. But
maybe less than that, because like, come on, man, like the
no,
speakers
but if
can't
it
be just
has like
$1,000.
4 more physical power link outputs, right? Because if it's far away with walls in between, WISA becomes useless.
But why not just have 10 PL outputs? If you
Because
think about it,
the PL output comes in packs of 4.
yeah. So you have 5 pairs.
So that's
Oh no,
20.
what do you mean pack of fours?
So the RJ45 ports, right? The way they connect to the PCB, they come in packs of 4 in 4. So you can have 4 or 8 power link. To get 10, you have to get another 4 and disable 2.
Okay, that's interesting. Or you just have them as a different port.
Yeah, but so those the RJ45 packs that are the power link out, they only come in 4s or 1 essentially, and they have like the way that PCB structure works behind that. They have a driver and a controller that only controls
It
either 1
makes
or
sense
4.
now, because the PL6, I think it was the PL6, was out on the in the center of the Biosystem 4. It was on a different part of the board for the center channel.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that makes sense. But yeah, like even if they did 8 plus,
Well, 8 is still 16 speakers wired, right? That should be plenty.
I think that's more than plenty. So that, and I think that it should have at least, well, if it's got 3 HDMI inputs, then it should have 3 pocket controllers. That's what it would need to have.
I mean,
And
you'd think that's doable if you're going to ask, like, I don't know, between 5 and 8 grand for a box like this?
yeah, I think they should consider doing a Biosystem 5 per se, or the True Image System, whatever, or the Mozart. I don't know what you would call it. So I'll leave it up to you guys. But I would strongly entertain that idea, because we do have a lot of theaters that we're doing this with, and quite honestly, like, then you can have the B&O experience even with third party speakers, let's say, because people can just, but you're
Celestials, Palatials.
but even if you just go with like regular Bowers and Wilkers and Cantons or whatever, CAFs and whatever you have that you can afford in your budget, at the end of the day, from the B&O's perspective, they had sold that processor.
The
So,
funny thing is kind of like the theater microphone for room compensation is already long enough, right? Because it's immensely long. Like you
oh,
can
dude,
literally have that box sit in another room and move the
I've had,
microphone
you know what? I actually did an install where, doing the room comp, I almost ran out. I almost ran out of the length of the microphone.
That is an enormous room, then.
Yeah, that was a big room. But also, like, he wanted like, let's do it across on the dining table. Like, holy fuck! And yeah, dude, it barely reached. It literally, I had maybe like 10, 15 centimeters of slack spare on it. That's
Because
it.
it's what, a 12-meter cable or something like that?
Yeah, yeah. So that was the largest I've done, or the longest. But also on the topic of a microphone, I've heard that people had problem with it on the Discords, to tune in 50s. And just saying, there is, I don't think that was the issue of the guy that was with it, but there is a difference between the Gen 1 theater mics and Gen 2 theater mics, which the Gen 1s apparently do not work with the adapter for the BeoTalk 50s.
Hmm.
Don't know why, but it's in our manual thing.
Hello, question. Why does the theater have such an enormous standby power consumption? 8 watt, I read. No one else other than BMO makes it so. I'm not sure if it does 8 watt or not in standby. I think it's half a watt because I think it's EU regulations.
It's an EU regulation. I don't think it does that much.
Like, unless it's doing other stuff in the background still, right? Because it's never fully off.
No. And I hope to God that they'll do they should reintroduce the sensor off, and they should put it a cleaning mode on, or disable the touch panel interface completely.
Let's see
So
what they quoted as. Oh,
I'm glad that I kept my welcome package from the '90s with the original microphone from the '90s, because I wouldn't want to go through the adapters nonsense. And my theater is definitely the first gen because I got it in December and it came out in October. So the microphone that I have for sure will not work in the '90s if I plug them in. Fuck, it's still raining, man.
in the spec sheet, it actually doesn't list it, but I would be surprised if it's 8 watt because I'm almost certain nothing in Europe anyway is allowed to pull that much.
I wonder if I can see it on the product health, because right now it's my thing is in standby. So let's see.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you'd like put on a power clip or something, and it at that point reads a bit higher because like the panel on top came on, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Like,
let's see.
if it's clearly mentioned on the B&O website, like where? Because I'm looking for it and I can't find it.
No,
Like, I'm even in the technical spec sheet now, and it's not listed.
that's interesting. I don't think it's 8 watts is a lot, man. There's no way it would pass the EU deal. The
No.
certification would never go through if it's 8 watts, man.
Typical power consumption is 120 watts, but that's when it's on. It's not listed for standby. Because I'm pretty sure that, like, the way these power consumption things work, right? Like, is that you have a maximum you are allowed to do.
Mm-hmm.
As in, like, I think the maximum is 0.5 or 0.8 of a watt in standby.
I think it's half a watt.
Because this was the thing with the BeoLab 5s, right? This is why literally the red LED had to come off, because that LED was pulling too much power to
To make it to 0.5.
yeah. And this was a EU regulation update, so in like people still revert back to older BeoLab 5 software just so that LED is on again.
But it could also circumvent it as a device that is all it's in perpetual state of most turned on. You know what I mean? Like a router, because router wouldn't have a minimum spec for power consumption, because you never have the fucking router in standby. So it's the same thing. Like you never really have the theater in power off state. You just have it in standby, which means that the network antennas are on. It's constantly fucking buzzing back and forth. If you're not joining it from another room, if you have a Halo, I guess, then you can like. I do not think that it's half a watt. I cannot believe that the half a watt would be unless
Yeah.
the back of my LG panel is a solar one. I don't believe that it would be that little.
Personally, I wouldn't be that bothered even if it was 8 or 10 watts. It's like, really.
If you can afford the theater, you can afford the fucking 8 watts an
Well,
hour or whatever.
I do kind of understand it a bit more, maybe in Europe, where like energy prices are still kind of nutty.
Mm,
But if that's really an issue, like just pull the plug out the wall.
that's it. Only turn it on when you watch it, like my grandpa did with the TV. Fuck.
I mean, most likely, what makes a bigger change in your life, right, is that you have to buy a newer fridge. Because if your fridge is more than 2, 3 years old, like you save more power by buying a new fridge or freezer or both.
Get the old school ones that just spin
Sure,
that
but
meter
like
like
in
a
terms of like
CD.
power bill, right? Like they
That's what I'm
use
saying.
more.
Even when I watch that thing spinning like it's a 3200 on the meter. Nice. That's it. That's why we're smoking cigars.
I can get one of those enormous Churchill type esque cigars.
Yeah, I get a David of Churchill late hour. That'd be awesome. That's a good cigar, actually.
I mean, I still have 9 of was it number 1 Kahiba or whatever? The ridiculous the price of them.
Cohiba is just stupid. They went like almost like B&O with the Lab 90s, man. Now the cigar is like $200 to burn. Come on, man. It's too much. Like, and it's not that good. It always has burn issues, no matter how much you had in the humidor, how fucking perfect, and you rotate them and all that. I've done all that, man. I had few that popped, I had few that ran, and then just it's a shit show. I don't like it. No, Stefan, I didn't smoke. I only smoked like 3 cigars since you came back and since I picked up the box from you. Yeah, these are not gonna be, burned just willy nilly. These have a purpose. I'm gonna save one for the 300th podcast, and actually, I want to run by an idea. I guess since we are only 3 shows away, should we do a raffle of some sorts? With, let's say, a buy-in of everybody that wants to be in it for a poll, and then we'll pull in some money and grab a, I don't know, some sort of a Beosound something. Would that be an interest of anybody in the chat also? Because we're kind of going down the raffle my 90s. Yeah, that's right. I'd put a $2,000 buy-in on it with a limit of 100 people. Still a good purchase for whoever gets it. But yeah, I think we should do something special. I'll talk to my boys in the shop to see what I can get, because I would like to just have something that marks the 300th episode. We've been the longest running boring show on YouTube, probably. 2 nerds talking B&O.
Yeah, pretty much.
For 5 years, bro. Is it 5 or 6 years now? 2018 we started, yeah. So
Yeah.
5 years. It's been more than 5 years, because I think I joined in in April of 2018. I think that was my first, because that was before they pulled a pin on my professional partnership.
I have some of these still. I have still 9 of these left.
What's that? Oh, Monte Cristo #1s. Those are good cigars, man. Just keep them nice and humid. I guess in Florida you don't have that issue because it's nice and humid all the time.
Yeah. But
Fuck, when I was in Florida, I left the cigar on the counter, and it was more humid than if I left it in the humidor. For God's sakes, like, son of a bitch.
I mean,
So
these cigars are a bit ridiculously expensive to just have as a regular smoke, right?
yeah, they get pricey. They get pricey, definitely. So
They're
but yeah,
also like, in terms of a smoke, they're like, God, a few hours essentially, if you're not like chugging along.
yeah, it's about 2 hours smoke, at least
they're,
2-3
they're,
hours.
they're that long, right? Like, they're
Yeah,
almost a Beer Remote 1 long.
It's not gonna be a remote one. They should do that for the 100th anniversary. Come up with the backlit bloody remote control for all the people that've been crying about it for the last decade and 2 years. It'll be 13 years by the time B&O turns 100 years old. We were asking for a backlit remote control.
It's kind of interesting. In terms of a second choice is a Beosound 2500 or Overture C, which I could also see happening potentially, because that's another one of these super iconic CD player designs.
Replace the tape. Are the tapes coming back now, for God's sakes, too?
A bit. It's more fad, I think.
Too much. But I think they should come. I don't. Yeah, Bio for Cinema C would be nice, but I think that if they did a Bio Remote 1 backlit, please don't do long. If you do that, don't do like 200, stupid number or some shit. Like, you put that in production, for God's sakes, and just, yeah, let's have a remote control that is dealable with in at night. Bio Shaver C. Oh my God, we're back into the World War II era.
Well, they did have universal power supplies. They worked anywhere in the world.
Yep. Well, that's what basically started their business, the Eliminator.
Apparently, the shavers are still like fairly highly rated for how well they shave and stuff.
Yeah.
I,
And I don't know if you've been to the B&O's museum, but they have a reel-to-reel player that was supposed to kick everybody else off the shelf, and then it never got released because cassette tapes were released into circulation as far as common product, and it never. It's a product that's never made the shelves of the B&O dealers, but it's on the shelf in the museum. So there's a little.
there's a high premium on practicality for B&O, right? Like,
Yes.
and I think reel to reel looks cool, but just changing them out is a pain in the ass.
Oh my God, it's like loading an MG42 for God's sakes.
Yeah, I mean, like a cassette is literally just click, click, and
Out, yeah, in and
it's
out.
so much easier.
I remember to this day when I was still a little child, I spaghettied my dad's Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon out of this fucking reel to reel spool. Yeah, he was not happy with that at all because I made a wig out of it. He was not fucking happy at all. He comes in and look at that, and I just had like literally like an afro made out of Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon, reel to reel tape. So yeah, I've quickly found that you don't with daddy's media like that. That was back then when you could get slapped upside your head still. And
Yeah, with a ladle or something.
exactly, it wasn't just like, go have a timeout. Your timeout was. Oh God, when you saw stars. But yeah, that's the good old yesteryears of yesteryears. I don't think Minidisc, that's not even. I still have, I think, about 150 Minidiscs that, and I still have the MZN1 Minidisc player that I wouldn't mind connecting. But theater, you can only do it with. I would have to get a optical to analog converter, I guess, or just go straight out of the DAC of the Minidisc. So, but that's not something that I would really toy with. I'd rather pull out the 9000 because all my discs are basically on the Minidisc, because that was the media that I used to carry at the time. When the flip phones with the T9 text input were cool. That's it. And you had fucking remember your house number still. I remember that. Nowadays, that's it. I don't know my mother's phone, for God's sakes. It's embarrassing.
I only know her number because it's literally one number different.
Yeah, I've had the same phone number for now 20 years because I got it in 2004. So it's 2024. I've had the same phone number for 20 years. And I got the number in Florida. I could not remember it at all. I had a picture of the SIM card receipt. Like, what's your number? Hang on. Let me give you my actual number now. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what other classic variant version slash whatever they're gonna come up with. I think the fives are definitely on the roster. I don't know if they're. I think honestly, when if they're gonna concentrate on a new product, they're kind of hitting the nail on the head with the Lab 8s because there was a need for a bookshelf speaker, which now it's there. Uh,
I
I
guess if you
honestly
want to
think they
do
should.
something new, you can add a subwoofer that plays nice with the Mozart platform.
That would be a good addition, but I don't honestly know how their take on subwoofers is. But I really think that they should consider something that is on a set of a Beosystem 5 chassis Mozart platform. Maybe we'll see a regen of the Harmony to a maybe Mark II with the theater with the Mozart platform in it. That kind of would make sense because it's still a flagship TV. It's fucking cool, and I think it deserves the upgrade to go from the AES platform or sorry ASE to a Mozart.
If they, I'm a personal advocate of this, but I don't see them doing it, mainly
Mm.
because of the cost of doing so. But I personally would love it much more if they stopped all these price increases on 50s and 90s and actually made something new that was better and started off at a ridiculous price point.
Bigger than 90s, you think?
Yeah, makes, I don't know, BioLab 100s or whatever, and make them equally capable, or if not more capable than 90s in a slightly different design. Like go massive for all I care, right? Like make them 30 centimeters taller. Put a 15-inch driver in them, something like that.
Mm.
But make them like, I don't know, 250 grand. Like make it a flagship of flagships where like you're in the avant-garde sort of area where like, because I'm okay, very much okay with like this is so out of reach and it's so amazing.
Yeah.
Like that is, I'm okay with that, but I'm less enthused about something that was affordable less than 5 years ago to now going to over 200 grand. Like that,
With the same tech in it.
yeah, that makes no sense to me at all.
So
I mean, they don't have to look like 90s. You can make giant 50s or something, like 50s that are larger than the 90s, let's say, or some other type of design, or uh, do them like enormous pentas, like penta height, but let's say like I don't know, like 40 centimeters wide, and use all the angles to put drivers on angles and shit.
that, or I don't know. For me, I would say something that is between the 50s and 28s, that is there, that is a little more affordable. Because 90s, where they are,
Yeah, but they
they're
don't want affordable anymore, as they say. Like,
that's fair too.
I mean, I agree. There probably should be something there that's affordable, but they literally just told us like we're all essentially, if you're not making what, over 500 grand a year, like you're not really their customer.
Pretty much.
Which is like, okay, fine, let's do that then. But like actually cater to these people. Like make something new that is ridiculous. Good, but ridiculous, right? Like because those like avant-garde speakers that come with like a literal closet of a subwoofer, like it's the
Yes.
size of like an IKEA closet, right? That which is the bass driver, and I'm not even joking. That's literally the size.
Yeah, it's huge. We had it on the podcast few,
But
I guess years ago now, or a few podcasts ago. Well, that's like you have a committed room for this nonsense.
sure, but if those are the people you're after, like go for it.
True. And for curtains to BioVision, I think that ship has long sailed for B&O. I think they don't. I think they're done with the curtains, which is sad.
Like this is what I'm talking about, right? Like it doesn't have to be like horns or something, but like this is their sub system. It's literally a closet.
That's insanity, man. The avant-garde is insanity. It's
Yeah,
cool
but
as
like
fuck.
if you're going after the same kind of people, make something this insane and do insane money. Where like make an actual new flagship. Don't have like because it's nearly a 10-year-old flagship now, right? And the only reason it's still the flagship is that they're just upping the price.
Mm? I think it's material limitations access that they have for the 90s that they just trying to push them off
Sure, but
to.
make something that's easier to make then. Like
Well, everything is
that is
more or less the
also
plastics now.
insane. That is also way more money.
Yeah, fair enough. I still think that they should make a super high-end streamer with a display and integrated touchscreen or something that works with plethora of streaming services. I think that's what they need the most. They need something that takes on the role of their now 9000C, which is, that's your main system basically, type of thing, right? If you think about it, like that's how, that generation of people has grown up. And even now, like, watching how my girlfriend interacts with the BNO in the house, I kind of, I am 100% certain that if that was a audio master in that environment, that she would not use her phone. She
Hmm.
would just tap a button. That's it. Let the music play, whatever, you know. But that's the challenge that, a lot of people, I guess, there are at BNO now. They live their life around the phone because it's a younger generation. But I'm from the era where, yes, I do have a very good phone. I play some video games on it, but when I get home, I kind of just put it on the charger and fuck it, man.
I hate using my phone for this shit.
I don't like doing that, and quite honestly, I'm also brain damaged from work when I get home because I'm using the app, most of the day. Also,
I mean, essentially, all my lights are now controllable from my phone. Yet I go out of my way to buy these little remotes, right, for every room.
because you just tap and done.
Because I hate I can like fuck around and no, it's just set and forget.
So,
I mean, affordability is a weird concept, right? Because the immediate follow up should be to whom? Like
mhm.
Gerald says, essentially 13 grand for 28 is not affordable. Well, that's subjective to you, right? Like,
Yes.
apparently I was even underselling it. Like 500 grand income a year is on the low side. Like they want you to have a net worth of like $10 million or something, which is like, again, like, sure, but then like make something else.
Yeah, I really wish that they did something that is a media server type of thing that, like I said, they need an audio master of some sorts. They need a head unit. They definitely still need a head unit, even in these times of the everything smart and Mozart and, speakers have their own capabilities of streaming. I still think that it would be better to utilize all of that platform into one centered UI that everybody has in the house access to, and you can connect more than two pair or like one pair of speakers together, where you can have Lab 8s with the subwoofer, BeoLab 19 per se. Like it needs to have all that capability built inside it,
Yeah. I
and
mean,
there is a way to do it. If they done it with a moment, they put in the Wi-Fi and the Wi-Fi antennas in it.
if the people that make this can survive, surely B&O can make something silly and sell it to very
Hmm.
high net worth individuals too.
That's insane, man. Like what a system.
But
But see,
people
that's a
still
system
buy
for.
it, right? And this, I think this system starts at like 350 grand US.
But is it the question of, is it a lifestyle product? Because this is not a lifestyle product. This is something that you buy just purely to listen to music, right? Where BNO, I think they try to cater to the more of a
Well,
lifestyle thing where.
it is lifestyle because it comes in like this crazy orange too.
No, I understand, but you can't really have the TV in between this shit, more or less, right?
Sure,
It's
but
already
like,
look awkward, but
I mean,
it's it's insane.
I guess for the North American market, you can put your TV up on top of the closet.
Exactly, on a table stand, just go get a fabulous. And yeah, but I don't know, man. I think that they're on the right track with the 9000, but I think they need to make something that is currently capable of dealing with the media in a way that I think a lot of people would prefer, with this, with the screen, with the dedicated unit that is nicely presentable. And I don't know, maybe have what's it called? I don't know, like the Moment had the removable screen, but then you're getting into the territory of how good the screen is and blah 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 and so on and so forth. Why not use iPad screens? Those, like, I have an iPad that is 15 years old and it still works, man. You know, I think that they can resource good parts and long lasting parts for a product that would work for a long, long time. And yeah, make it cradle to cradle with a removable chip and whatever else have you to make it kosher with everything.
I mean, I'm just looking at their product catalog, and there's people with TVs attached to this weird stuff.
Yeah. Those white speakers on the top right corner, I've heard them. Oh my god. And or the black ones, yeah, that's the same ones. Those sound insane for how, and they're like 750 watts each, not much. But the sound they produce, I've heard them in Insidia once. It was unbelievable.
Interesting.
Unbelievable sounding. But then you get into the paired amplifiers, cables, and so on and so forth.
I mean, AVRs are getting stronger and stronger by the year as well.
Yes.
I mean, newer AVRs are like, what, 20 kilos or something, because the power supplies are enormous now.
I know, it's huge. Like some of the, even like, as much as I hate them sometimes, those Yamaha amps like are crazy. But Yamaha's good for 2-channel audio listening. I don't think they're good with they're not good with their HDMI boards inside their product. So, and we've had issues with the Yamaha receivers,
I mean,
but their
this,
dumb amps
yeah,
are good.
this is totally not my thing, right? Like, it's all kind of weird to me, but clearly it sells.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's a big statement of a speaker in the house, for God's sakes. Like that's, you're going for
Yeah.
elephant in the room type of thing. Where, with the 90s, I've had people that never noticed them, which was kind of weird. I found, what the fuck. The black ones, obviously, everybody saw them right away because they're just two big monoliths sitting in the room. But the white ones, they disappeared quite nicer into the surroundings. But yeah, I really think that they should consider something on a side of an audio master, a streamer, something maybe even that has capability that BeoLiving Intelligence is, Mark 3, Gen 3, whatever, Gen 4 BeoLiving Intelligence is incorporated inside the system. At that point, I don't think it's anything else but software.
Let's see. Apparently, those are Avant-Garde Acoustic Zero TA. What the hell do they cost? I just want to know what. And those are the small ones, right?
Mm-hmm. I agree with Mike Hunt saying that all this Hi-Fi Pro doesn't compete with all the all-in-one product that B&O do. I understand that, but that's my argument, that the B&O does it more or less on the lifestyle principle, where people that are buying these enormous audio systems, yes, they listen to their titles and whatever's have yous, but it's more or less like, they have a copiously expensive turntable with it, the preamps, the stacks, the whole that nonsense. And it's a different it's a different experience to have that system, where listening to music is more or less a chore, than when I used to live in Calgary. I had the 90s and I would just press music on a Lutron keypad and everything would just turn on, and don't get me wrong, it still sounds fucking amazing, but it's a completely different interaction with your lifestyle equipment and products in the house. And I never had to wait for my tubes to turn on and warm up and all this and that. Just fucking press a button, tabaknak, everything's on. Let's see. That's the way to do it. And that's
Apparently,
what I
those
like
weird
doing it.
ones you heard are active speakers.
Yes.
But they start at 16 grand US new.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're very nice sounding.
I mean, that's because that's essentially like this. This is, to me, what stands out. If you want the very high net worth individual, like, don't lose your own identity, but these are the people you're up against, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you want those same customers, you kind of have to like somehow manage to steal them.
Yeah. I still think that if the record player would be introduced as new, or a new B&O record player, I still think that they would sell a lot of it, especially if they gave it a USB-C output into the Mozart platform, as well as, let's say analog out for anything else for third party, but retain the control of the old B&O turntables where you could skip 5 millimeters on the record via the USB-C step ahead command. I think that would be sick, because there's no other turntable that does it or ever has done it since the B&O have done it. So I think that would be, and they have the tech. Obviously, they have more than enough background knowledge in how to do it, and I think that would be a great idea to come up with something. But I still think they should come up with an audio master. I would probably listen to more music now than I consume YouTube, I guess, because it's just easier to just press a my button and that's it, instead of browsing through my phone after a whole day of being on the app and setting people's things up, more or less.
I mean, one thing is for sure is that their marketing has to get better. To start with anything, like, while I'm saying like they need to make crazier things with actually insane prices and that sort of thing, right? Like, if nobody knows about them, it kind of becomes pointless.
Well, yeah, but again, like, I think that introduction of something new would be also great, because like, I think at some point the Beosound 2, whatever atelier or whatever version of it in limited edition colors for almost double the price of the silver or regular aluminum product of the same, I think that that's going to start getting old pretty quick, because you're going to run out of people that are silly enough to go into these collections and buy them. Because yes, you are buying something niche and unique, but in the same token, how many people are there going to still have? So I don't know. I honestly don't know what's in store now for as far as the new products are concerned, because obviously they've released the BeoConnect Core now. Maybe the BeoConnect Encore will follow at some point this year, maybe next year, which I think would be a logical succession to, if they're keeping this cradle to cradle, then why not introduce something that brings your old audio equipment, or dated, I guess, or classic audio equipment into the era of new? Because I'm sure we have a lot of people that have 9000s with now theaters and whatever else have you, or different mastering product, which it's impossible to even do through an LML converter, because that's not supported inside there. So, and if you could do it through that little boxy box, and it just makes sense to me.
I mean, one thing in terms of what was another piece of greatness, because vinyl is still going strong, is like make another tangential record player, like an actual new one.
Well, that's what I was saying, with the USB-C out on it for control.
Well, or make it fully analog like all the other ones, right? Because, I mean, the amount of people, like, even if you look at the project tables and stuff, like, because they're radial arms, like, you have all these weird tracking issues and blah, 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 and it's not perpendicular, so your tone arm needs to be at least 12 inches, if not longer. Which is like, it all starts to look a bit weird, or you need to like have weird bends. And then B&O is just, it's automatic as a short tone. It's straight. It's always 90 degrees, and
it's perfect.
Yeah. So like Mike says, I still got a Beogram 7000 with an MMC2. That's as much audiophile as you can get, I think, for a Beogram. Like maybe the new 4000, but like an MMC2 is fantastic cartridge.
Yeah.
I mean, an MMC1 still, if you buy a new one, I think it's like $1,200 or something.
Yeah, you won't find it under $1,000 US for sure. So,
I mean, make something like, if you want to make another record player, make it expensive, right? Like make the 4000C look cheap.
That's what I say too.
Because if you
Even
look
if
at,
they made a turntable that is 18 or 20,000 US dollars, people would still buy it. It's
yeah,
B&O turntable. So I don't
Mark
know.
says Gen Z are not super wealthy. Well, I agree. They don't care about the broader public.
Mm,
Like, when you say the 1%, right? Like, they care about maybe 0.8% of those people.
pretty much.
like what Sandeep said earlier, right? Like, I was underselling it with 500 grand a year. Like, if you're like on like making a decent living, one would have thought 2-3 years ago. If you're like 150 grand, it's like, go away.
Mm, pleb.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think either take the avenue of the vinyl, which would be cool, and make it. I would make it expensive. I would make it something that has, let's say, a DPL directly into the 50s. So like, just make it so it's multi connectable to all the high end B&O, and obviously has a set of gold plated RCAs for all of your audio files to put it into another thing, whatever. But I think it should be something that it's a turntable with a USB-C output for the Mozart platform, so you can have it turned into the plugged into the theater. And I guess from there on, if you put it to whatever, because even if I think if you do it with I would put it with a BeoConnect core, I guess, to put it to the 50s, and you're laughing,
I mean,
but it would be cool.
I've found some record players for Sandeep. Like this
Let's see.
Tech Das Air is only 75 grand, right?
See, that's insane. It looks almost like a inside of a watch mechanism from far away.
Yeah, and half of it is still to reduce vibrations and blah 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 with a radial arm that B&O essentially had solved with like internal suspension and shit.
Basically, it's so funny how simple their approach was, and it works so well. But yeah, this one is look at the fucking stand on this thing.
Yeah,
Ninety-two
this
thousand
is like
euros.
a free floating weight, right? Like just in case you have like earth rotations and or wobbles and or
Mm-hmm.
maybe you live in a high rise so that you don't hear like that tiniest bit of potential flutter when you're
Those things are
building.
so heavy. Those things are so heavy, dude. I've seen one of our clients in Calgary bought one of those turntables with that counterbalance weight, whatever.
This thing is
They are
400
fucking insane.
kilos.
It was fucked up.
This thing is 400 kilos.
The stand, or no, this thing.
Yeah, the
Oh
look at the
yeah,
platter. It's like 8 inches of platter.
Jesus Christ. Basement of granite. Oh my god. Yeah, this shit would probably play through the earthquake till the ceiling falls on it. But yeah, that's insanity.
I mean, look at how like feeble that record looks, right?
Oh, there is a record on it. Jesus Christ.
That looks like a single, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
not.
yeah. It's a proper record. That's insane. I wonder how many RPMs if you run that app that everybody's posting now in the Discord. What would be 33.33 on
Yeah,
the spin, right? Because this must be accurate as
but the
hell.
thing is, this thing probably runs at 33.33, like 10 minutes after you turn it off, right? Because it's just the inertia of the
Oh
mass.
yeah, oh yeah.
Like,
How long does it take to even start spinning?
yeah,
But
I don't
yeah,
know.
that's crazy.
I was looking at other record players the other day, and I saw that this was not expensive, right? Like this was like up to like 1,000, but there was this record player with an initial torque of 300 watts because it was a direct drive one, and it was because the platter was like, I don't know, like 4 pounds or something, which is a heavy ass platter, but like holy
That's
hell.
insane. Yeah, but that's again, that's the high end of a high end market, right? This is not a project turntable. This is not something that, look at that. Dundee of 1 degree. What is that? Dun Wandorf? 105,000 euros. I don't know, 716 pounds. Call this.
I mean, this is
That's a
also
lot.
sort of a piece of art, right? Which, but like nobody says, and like whatever B&O makes has to be fully functional. They also essentially do interior art.
Hmm. But I think a lot of cost in these crazy turntables goes into the machining process of those heavy ass fucking metal parts to make them in a jewelry like quality, right? Because like, yeah, you can make a freaking train wheel, but who cares? Like, that's not gonna be ever in pristine condition within, like a small scratch will reflect off it. Who cares? But this, like, I would hate to fucking install this, man. I would hate to install this.
I mean, we're getting more and more expensive, but this one is sort of pretty, a bit retro.
Mm.
Goldman reference to.
Yeah, those are. What brand is this?
Goldman reference to. There's some 15 kilograms of brass shielding for the motor.
What is it shielding from?
Static from your carpet? I don't know.
15 kilos of brass. That sounds so good.
The Earth's rotation, gamma ray waves or something? I don't know.
What is it? Liquid nitrogen rectified? I can't see it because my
Belt.
avatar is on. Belt. Fuck, 165,000 pounds.
Yeah, you don't get a tone arm or a cartridge with it.
460,000 pounds. Go up.
Yeah, this is a tangential arm.
On like a KUKA robot machine thing. Oh my god, that is insanity, bro.
I mean, this probably plays at 33.3333333.
till the display runs out across, for God's sakes. Yeah, it looks like a 3D printer for sure. But that's some high level accuracy nonsense. Yeah, it makes looks 90s, like they're just regular computer speakers that you plug into it.
I don't know how this is made, but most likely, right, it's an automatic turntable that is so automated that they split the systems. Like the belt drive is not connected to the tone arm, but they are through sensors connected because this tone arm is mechanized.
Oh yeah, this is probably laser guided or whatever else have you in there to track.
Plus, it's tangential, so it's not following any of the tracks. Like the actual machine that guides the tone arm is following the tracks.
That's insanity. 460,000 euros, and somebody puts that on their yacht, and then it gets sank by Somali pirates somewhere.
There's an HD camera and screen for checking everything is running smoothly.
There better be for that.
Touchscreen remote.
Is the remote backlit? Probably not.
I don't know.
But yeah, that's.
Paul's just
I
talking
don't know,
about.
honestly. Like, how much goodness of the music would you have out of this?
At some point, it's just bragging rights. Paul's just talking about outdated formats. Why the interest in vinyl? I don't understand it. I can't bear clicks and pops. The thing is, if your record is properly clean, right, you don't hear the clicks and pops.
Yes.
If you don't have the static, but you're chasing dragons at this point, which is fun for some people. It's just like any other hobby, right? Like,
I'll have a buddy that, like, he has a record washing machine, literally, that it comes in and does its own spin cycles. It dries the record, and then he takes his gloves and puts it on the turntable. That is one of those stupid money ones. And you listen to it for a few minutes, and that's it.
Max says maybe you weren't using 50 kilograms of brass for motor shielding.
Oh, it's insane. It is chasing the dragons. Like, that's exactly what it is. And
but aren't we all to a degree?
I don't think you're necessarily chasing dragons with Bang & Olufsen, though.
No, but it's for sure the reason you bought 50s. Sorry, 90s.
Well, yeah, but at the end of the day, like you caught the fucking dragon with it. Like
Sure.
there's no more ones to chase. Like that's the
Well,
top of
if they make
whatever it is.
Beolab 100s that are like even more, like if you somehow got a lottery ticket that won, like would you not go for something better if they made something better?
Yeah, I would,
Exactly.
but I would stay within the B&O realm, I guess. Like I wouldn't venture out, like because then it gets too much. Because what cables now, right? Okay, am I gonna use my same old cables or do I want to try new cables? Am I gonna use the same preamp or am I gonna try a new preamp?
Do
Am
you
I
have
gonna
any
try
Audio
a
Quest Ethernet
fucking
cables for PL?
no?
Do you have any Audio Quest cables for like your
I use
9000?
everything that we used to use were Cat 7s, and I always use Cat 7 from B&O spec. I did one house with Audio Quest Cat 7 cables, but it's back in BLab 18s. This is before my accident, even, so we're going back almost 9 years. Uh, Other than like they're solid as a motherfucker. I haven't really noticed any difference, and I never really gotten around because I couldn't find the plugs anymore, and you had to order a box of them, and I'm like, I don't want a box of plugs from Audio Quest just to hook up my 90s to the Avant, and I need 4 out of 20 plugs, the connectors, the RG45 ones for the stiff cable, and those connectors were like I think $65 each for a fucking RJ45 plug, man. Like so. Plus the cable was like $9 a meter, and it just gets to the point. Okay, really, but I never really played with that. But
There's
then
people that still swear that the Audio Quest power cables make a difference on B&O speakers.
I still have, I believe in tinfoil hat nonsense, and I do have a jitterbug in a Biosystem 5 or Biomaster 5 in my mom's TV in Calgary. I left it in the. So it takes the noise off the motherboard.
Exactly.
Fucking nonsense, man. Shit.
You have to ask what noise, though, and how does it know?
It does make some sort of a difference because I remember when they first introduced that, we were in the in Vegas, and they were doing the whole demo, and I don't know if there was just the song was tuned differently or whatever, but it was a little more richer on the bass, more rounded off once they ran it through the jitterbug, which kind of is weird. That, but then again, like if you take just the a regular audio toner, right? Like to tone out cables and whatnot in the walls. Like you put that thing towards the electrical cable, the amount of noise that screams out of the little speaker inside the meter, it's unbelievable. So yes, I agree that there are, the way that they shield their wires and so on and so forth. It's great. Will it make the difference in performance? Probably, but will it make a difference between uh like let's say if I just ran an RJ45 type power link cable from the theater to the 50s like yours, right? Would that difference be noticeable if I just ran a regular Cat 7 cable from B&O between speaker A and speaker B? I don't think so. No, I'm not sticking my 90s in the shop, Stefan. Put the pipe down. You're smoking too much, bro. I ain't taking those out. And they're deep in the container. There's no way. If I'm going to dig for them, it's going to be I'm going to bring them up here, which would be rather insane.
It's just B&O needs to start focusing more on quality. Speaker chassis for the price that wear out after 10 years makes me sick for a speaker. But that's not true. Like
I'm not what.
fives could be, but most of them do 15 years.
Yeah, you need to be more specific on a speaker example. Like if it's Beolab 4s, well, they've still around. They've been around for 10 years. Like there is not many.
My 18s are faultless and they're from 2013.
The only ones that I could see that you would be rightfully bitching about would be the Beolab 14 and Beolab S8. Because those amp chassis for the subwoofer are burnt out and they just fucking dead, man. So not that's the only ones that there's no parts available. When it comes to BOLab 3s, no parts available, but then again, it's a 20-year-old speaker. So
mean, if you compare it to the passive side of things, right? Like, who else has amps that are 15 years old, like in the top end of audio that you still keep? I don't think many do that.
Mm.
Like, unless you buy like the ultimate like Macintosh now, but like you're gonna have a 15-year-old Macintosh amp, and like 15 years from now, are you still okay with the same ones?
Right.
I mean, one thing that's I think commendable in many ways for B&O is like 15 years down the line, you can fucking fix it.
Yes.
Like you can still fix fives. Yes, it's a bit more expensive, but it's not too bad.
Yeah. I think that and then again, Lap Fives were flagship speakers for over a decade. They were flagships till the BeoLab 90s came out in 2015, and that's where, to me, more or less the unthinkable happened when, for the first time, when I was in Denmark, and we did like in a factory that they had that little theater set up and so on, and you go in there and the fucking Lab Fives are rear channels, bro. Like what? I've never thought I would live to see the moment where those speakers are just, yeah, these are now our right and left surrounds,
I'm not
because we got
saying anything
cannons.
in that can.
But
Like I have a set of 50s that are rear channels.
no, but like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's a flagship speaker, and when the 90s were introduced, like, I'd never thought that I would see the moment that such a powerful speaker would just become a rear channel all of a sudden,
Yeah.
right? It's the same, but then again, it's to your argument. Like, you have more or less the ultimate setup of the back in the days. If you had one more pair, the 6 Lab 5s with the BeoVision 103, 4103, like that was the most ultimate setup of the
Yeah,
of
Henrik's
the
friend
2000s.
DJ Martin Jensen with his 90s front and 90s rear. It's also crazy.
Hmm.
Anyway, more to dream about. I'm going to call it for today.
That's it.
Hope everybody has a very good week. I'll
Stay
be here
dry.
next week. At the end of the month, I will have to go to the UK. So, Sandeep, I need to talk to you. Maybe we can get together or something.
Right on. Yeah, that probably works out good for me because I might be ending up going to Mexico.
Like a YouTube film yourself going very fast.
That's it. All
Anyway,
right, everyone, leave a like.
Yeah, leave a like, subscribe, and all that jazz. And bye.
See you next week. Bye.